that better? Okay. So, I'm one of those that did not know Diana well or for a long time. I just saw her casually around town, but didn't really know her. And then she moved into the apartment building where I live, almost right across the hall. So she was back and forth and we saw each other, but even then we didn't really, come together as friends or anything. But when she started to get sick and I realized she needed help, then a lot of different people, came forward to bring food and to go over and look in on her and things like that. So I did a few things like that. But then pretty soon after that, she really did start to have serious difficulties, and she was in hospitals here and there, and et cetera, as some of you probably know. And then when she came back for her last month in the apartment, and her daughter came out, and a group of about, 5 or 6 or so of us emerged from nowhere, and for some reason we were all guided to help her to take care of her last affairs. She didn't admit that she was having any last affairs, but she did have to move because it did become apparent that she couldn't really take care of herself, and it was she had to go. And so her family came, her sister came for a while and took care of her for a couple of weeks. And then her daughter came. And in that period, this little group who formed were like with her constantly. We were like rummaging through her affairs. And let me tell you, there were a lot of affairs. It was a monumental task. I mean, I am not exaggerating when I say that like 5 or 6 of us, not every hour of the day, but a lot of the time, were in that apartment for a month, a whole bunch of us, and it was scrambling at the last minute to get out on the last day of the month. There was a lot of stuff in there. And so everybody did their part, and it was wonderful. It was like a sisterhood. We had a wonderful time together. And my particular role in that project was going through her papers. All the file cabinets, all the file folders, tons, literally tons, and tons of boxes. Hard to believe it was all there in that apartment, but it was. And so, going from not having known her very well, I got to know her intimately. And it was really a very moving experience. I just had big garbage bags on the floor and just like toss. I mean, it was just, magazine, unopened mail from 5 years ago. I mean, stuff like that just. But along the way, there was a lot of very interesting information. She was everywhere, all over the world. Hotel tickets, hotel stubs from Thailand and Australia and Japan and Holland and England. And speaking of England, then I'm going to bring up a couple of things that flow right from the video. But here we have the front page of the Sunday Mail, a London tabloid, and it says, "Gaze at Diana and change your life." And here's another one. "Tomorrow at 12, I'll unlock your psychic powers." "Yes, folks, Mystic Diana got air conditioning going again." This was a story about, I think it was the Sun. This is the Sun, another London paper. That the air conditioner had been broken like for years or something. And as soon as she started her presentation, it started whirring along. And here's an article from the Washington Post acknowledging her interesting work. So she really was a large character. She really had a very big presence on a world stage. Um, and what I've done is I wrote up there was a couple of these a nice article by a journalist, but it was kind of hard to read, so I retyped it and copied it, and there's a little stack of those over there. And briefly that you can take. But briefly what it talked about was this in September 1992, in this the Sun, I believe it was, they announced that this woman, they were going to put her face on the paper, and on the front page of the paper, and at 12 noon, everybody was going to gaze into her eyes for 2 minutes, thinking of everything that they would like to have, whether it would be money or romance or health, and to visualize that, and to hold in their hand, without any pressure whatsoever, to hold in their hand a spoon or fork. So the time came, and these people had, I don't know how many millions of viewers, I mean not viewers, but readers. And so it came, and what this paper that you'll pick up if you want, this says, is that at 2 minutes, after the 2 minutes, the switchboard of the newspaper lit up, and until 6 o'clock that night, it was nonstop, people calling in from all over the country, reporting miracles. Watches and clocks that hadn't run in years started running again. I mean, this woman had some kind of power. And air conditioners started going, printers that were broken down. I mean, people have been reporting arthritis, pain is gone. I mean, it was like, oh my God, it was this amazing story. Just this amazing story. So, to just point out that, yes, we celebrate a woman who was, as you saw, very successful just as a woman in business. My goodness. I mean, she was a star. She really was an extraordinary, wonderful woman. So I'm happy to be here tonight to celebrate her.
Mikhail, would you like to lead a prayer? And Ron. This is Mikhail and Ron. And you can introduce yourself as to your relationship with Diana.
Well, we didn't know much about Diana, before recently, and it's so interesting because she always tried to tell me about her past. She tried to say, the show she had in this kind of spoon events and this that. For some reason, I never was interested, and I never asked her about anything, and she stopped saying anything. And the reason is, I knew that I know her. I didn't need know anything about, her story in this life. I knew her essence, I knew her love, I knew who she was without any word. And for me, it really wasn't important to know anything, about her ego or about her, her things. And and I know that we have this special relationship because always when we call each other, we start laughing. We don't say anything, but we laugh, for nothing, always laughing. And the way we meet her is because we have a teacher in Brazil named Trigueirinho, and there we have a community, and it is why we came to Monte Shasta about to have me and Mikhail, my husband, to help in the creation or hold the energy here for a community. And then she became interested and she became involved with us, like coming for studies groups that we have in home, and also To be short, but Trigueirinho create a monastery named Grace Mercy Order, and the nuns came to here. Then we helped to establish the monastery, and she became so a friend from the nuns. That picture was the last picture the nuns took in the mountain. We usually do sing mantras there, do these operative works, and she really loved the mantras and everything. Well, that's my short story about Diana.
So we're going to read a Hebrew prayer for the departed. That was the tradition that Diana started this incarnation in. And then we'll chant one of the mantras that she used to enjoy chanting with the nuns. El Malei Rachamim Shochein B'Chamumin Pamtzei Menucha Nocha Al Kanfei HaShekinah B'Mahalot Kedushim Yutehorim Kizochar Harakim Masrim.
God overflowing with compassion, who dwells on high, grant proper rest on the wings of the divine presence, in the lofty levels of the holy and pure ones, who shine like the glow of the firmament. For the soul of our beloved friend and the lover of God, Diana, who has gone on the other worlds.
So this mantra is called Vaiki Samet. It's about harmony of the bodies, alignment of the bodies, activation of the memories of experiences in the indigenous consciousness, and invoking the indigenous protector energies which are believed to exist in or on the mountain.
And she loved it so much.
So we'll do it 2 or 3 times, so if you catch on to it, you can join us.
Vaiki Samet, Vaiki Rente, Sawai Naiku, Ikimente, Ikusiku, Samai Naitu, Vaiki Samet, Vaiki Rente, Vaiki. And we want to say that the family asked us to take care the ashes of Diana, that they are in our land, for who wanted to know. And also is in the name of the family that we are here, or with the friends that organize it, like it was so kind to organize all this event. But we want to say that the family, thank you all, you, the community, for all love that you gave to her in these years. and her sister Marsha asked me to say some words that she wrote. If it's okay for all, I want to say her words for the community. Farewell, dear sister. Farewell to the one person who shared my childhood memories. We followed different paths, had different ideologies, but we were always joined by the bond of love and laughter. You had a very unique and extraordinary life. You followed your spiritual belief, traveled around the world teaching them to others. Your charisma and beautiful smile lit the lives of many. I am thankful that I got to know your beloved Mount Shasta and your many friends, and I feel blessed that we were able to spend your last few months together. Diana, I miss you. Marsha. Thank you.
I had something I want to say. I sat 15 minutes before we started, and this came through from Sananda. Priestess that she was, Diana now has a new realm of play. She learns that humility is to her benefit, aspiring to wholeness, that is, body, mind, spirit, is a worthy endeavor, and that thy will be done is the way to go. She thanks you all for contributing to her life, and she can see in exquisite detail the beauty and love each one of you brings to this now. She celebrates you as well. And please let us raise our vibration for just a moment and unify before we begin sharing. This is done with a few deep belly breaths and a relaxing mental effort. So we just hold it together for a few moments. All the way forward with hands. And the request from Sananda was that we begin quietly with whomever is to the right of dawn. Just Joanna. Sorry. Would you care to share about Joanna? About Diana? Okay.
Well, I've been wondering, knowing this was coming up, exactly what I would say. And I have known Diana for a very long time, for decades. And she did share with me some of these wonderful spoon bending things and some things about her show and the things about her travels and wanting to find a new place to live, which would seem to be happening a lot for her. But mostly I don't have such a definite, event kind of memory, but just the sweetness and the light, the love that exuded from her, and her joy and charisma was a good word for that. I could really see why she had such a wonderful show, and I think that's really about all. Every time I saw her, my heart would feel light and happy, and we'd have a wonderful hug and share a little bit. usually not anything hugely deep, but just to love, just to love each other and see how loving she was with everyone where she went. Thank you.
And if anybody would like to light a candle with intention, whether you speak or not, you're welcome to. And if we run out of candles, you can just express your intention into an artwork candle. Candace, did you mean that we should continue going in this direction?
I would think popcorn stuff from here.
Okay. So this beautiful woman is ready.
Nervous. Anyhow, my name is Soha Sophia. When I first moved here, there's a lot of people that came. They were really good reading means and that. But with Diana, there was something special. She already knew who I was, and she brought me to you two. And she brought me to the mountain with the sacred sisters and the nuns that were up there. And we experienced the most profound apparitions. And I'm really happy to hear you guys have her ashes because that's what she wanted. She also always reminded me to come to the Temple of Attention with Jin and Rebecca. She always was watching over me and protecting me and guiding me, and she brought me to beautiful hiking paths on the mountain and sacred trees. And I remember one of the last times we hugged so deeply, and I wanted to take her pain from her, but I knew it wasn't mine to take because her will was her will. I miss her dearly, and I love her and everything she taught me and taught all of us. I will take that and continue to live it because it was a beautiful gift. And so, share that with you.
I was home the last month to find a photo because on all photos I had with Diana, her face was glowing in everyone, also those that she was unaware on the photo. And so I selected one and gave to her just with a message, "You are pure light," because she was independent of the conditions of her body. And she has been deeply connected with the Japanese tradition. She has been to Japan many times during courses. And so the last 2 years she came to receive what's called true light radiating. And it was quite regular, and she even took a 3-day course with it. And so we like to honor her by, singing together a Japanese hymn, which is in the old Shinto language. And it's a divine hymn, and it's supposed to go up into the different ancestor realms. So there is a vibration, and the language is very similar to Sanskrit because it has a spiritual meaning than different symbols. So we sing this to honor Diana's very precious presence here 首総元元司会かかまはらにかむたまいもえいでますかむろぎかむろみのみしからもちて万世といとのみをやかむあまつすのまいかりおみかみあらひどのかむたちもろもろのさかごとたまいのつつみくがれよばまいかりもてあらいきょめみそぎたまいて神の子のしからよみかえらせたまいと申すことのよしをかしこみかしこみもまおすみよやもとすまいかりおみかみ守りたまえ先あいたまえみよやもとすまいかりおみかみ守りたまえ先あいたまえかんながらたまいちはいますかんながらたまいちはいます
It's nice. Sananda used to channel through this woman for years in this spot, so it was so sweet for you to bring that in, which I think. Has everybody here ever joined a multi-level company? I did one. I call it a religion. You have to do it at least once in this lifetime. Just understand the pure devotion of trying to get the whole planet in your downline. So my prayer these days, and I'm approaching my 70th birthday, is please let me be God at no one else's expense. Diana Gazes accepted her divinity. So in 1984, which is sort of, I was trying to think of that in the timeline, sort of like We Are the World. I was involved in the multi-level, and of course was the greatest thing that ever happened. And I was serving a spiritual teacher who I probably wouldn't support publicly anymore. But anyway, I headed up to get 16 first levels because I had mathematically proved that we could subsidize our entire existence with just 3 weeks of intense organization. And I said, well, I'm going to have to speak to who are the business people in this community? And there was this guy who lived up in New York City in Manhattan. And I thought he'd be one of the guys, so I went up there and he said, oh, hi, this is my roommate. Her name is Diana Gazes. I said, hi. And I said my name, whatever. She said, I'm a futurist. She said, there's only 2 of them right now on the planet. I'm one, and the other is Faith Popcorn, which I just thought was the best name. I said, well, she's got you in the name department, but it's actually pretty close, you know. And I just experienced her, and this is going to give you some goosebumps. So that night I introduced the guy's girlfriend to Noel, and we all went over there. And that's my brother-in-law. And anyway, we had an adventure, and I met Diana Gazes, but it was New York City, and everybody's too cool for school at that point. So I met her, and you know, the amazing fabric of this universe and this game of love that we stumble around in, and it opens up and we tumble in a little bit more deeply. So, you know, 35 years later, I show up in Mount Shasta. And I'm trying to live my best future, and who do I run into but Mrs. Future? You know, she screwed. She's now not doing the future, she's doing this new thing called 5D, but she was always, I think she was an Aries, but if she wasn't, she was seemed like an Aries, you know. There you go, I mean, let's go. And she was just off to the races and reiterating herself more often than Madonna. You know, it's like Diana, Diana, Diana. And I didn't meet this incarnation of her. I met her maybe about 10 years later than that, I think. But it was such an amazing time, wasn't it, when we were like all coming together. And we're all have been sort of in the same envelope of time. There's actually been no time. Nothing has changed. You know, it's like we're in this sort of stillness that's bigger than everything else. And we speak East Coast and Japanese and all these other different dialects of love. But I just really had to laugh because I didn't know what a Pleiadian was, but Diana Gazes had to be a Pleiadian. She and Eric Pearl would be like in the best Pleiadian, contest or something. Who's the realest Pleiadian? People that just crack open the system. These people just would show up and go, no, that's not reality, I'm sorry. Bend your spoon, bend your mind, bend your heart. All of us, bend ourselves. Could we really be the great eternals? Yeah, we are, And people like Diana help kick off that awareness into the zeitgeist, the greater culture. And I know that I spent quite a few years in programming because I feel that is the bloodless revolution. Show people their freedom on these magic screens, and it makes it a little bit easier. So I honor her spirit, and may we all gaze into our own futures with a great confidence and fun.
You didn't say your name.
Mark Appleman. Hi.
Diana was my next door neighbor, and I knew her very well in the last year, but I've known her since I've been here, which is not very long. I wrote this poem. It came to me one morning. Yeah, not too long ago. Anyway, it's called Diana. They say she is gone, just up and went, leaving everything behind, barely a goodbye. Perhaps she didn't know it would happen like this. Now, looking back at old abodes, she catches a glimpse of life on earth, confined in a body. Fleeting dark shadows pass her by. Seeing how expansive she really is, she pauses and wonders, there's so much love for everyone. Is there more she should do? Alas, winds of the ethers call to her, catching her sails, she's lifted aloft. Thank you.
So I'd like to share with you how I met Diana. It's probably here at the Temple of Intention. I would see her at events, and this was only in the last year and a half or so. And she would take me by the sleeve and make me sit down and talk to her and say, who are you, tell me about yourself, and we're going to do something together. I don't know what it is, but we're going to do something together. And so we exchanged phone numbers, and then we never got in touch. And then I'd see her at another event. She'd say, we're going to do something. Maybe it's an event, or maybe we're going to start a program. Or she was always not ready to give up her work. As long as she had work, she was still here on the planet. And it turned out we did her last grade program, which was, the last days of her life. It was my absolute honor to have been with her throughout this, last year of the ending of her life. And I learned so much from that. Anyway, just saying thank you. It was a great event. Loved every moment of it. I wish you could have been more comfortable. Yes. That's all.
Can we get you a chair? Oh, I'm fine. You sure? Yeah. Oh, should I go up there? Nobody else? Oh.
There's a chair.
Oh.
So, Diana was one of those people that I would see every once in a while, and then there was a mutual friend that we had that said that she wanted us to go up on the mountain and we were going to meet Adam. And I ended up driving with Diana, and she did a lot of what was mentioned before is this spark would get in her eye, and she would just light up all around herself, just so excited about the potential of being able to do something else with me. There was a new event, a new thing. I know we're going to get together. We're going to do something. And and I didn't see her for a while, and then I saw her at Kirtan, and I've been here for about 4 years, and when I first came here, I was wearing makeup. And she took one look at me, and she's like, "What are you doing?" You don't need that. You're beautiful. You're beautiful just the way you are. And she was just such a breath of fresh air with me coming into this new environment. She gave me a business card. I kept it at my desk for years, and that's what I looked at every morning was her shining face. And that was the only business card that I had on my desk. And she's with us all. She just is so bright and shining. I'm so blessed that we all have gotten to experience her. I wanted to share a little something from Khalil Gibran, and it's called The Ascending. And it says, "I have passed a mountain peak, and my soul is soaring in the firmament of complete and unbound freedom. I am far, far away, my companions, and the clouds are hiding the hills from my eyes. The valleys are becoming flooded with an ocean of silence that looks like the spring cloud, yellow as the candlelight and red as the twilight. The songs of the waves and the hymns of the streams are scattered, and the voices of the throngs reduced to silence. And I can hear naught but the music of eternity, in exact harmony with the Spirit's desires. I am cloaked in full whiteness. I am comfort.